y'all, let's do some print and cut. So I'm going to go here to my Cricut app, and I am going to go down here to this little upload right down here, and I'm going to click on upload, and I'm going to we'll go ahead and browse our files. Now I have a lot of different digital paper packs. There we go. I want to get the car. I'm going to click on the car, and so it brings up this image here, and it has all of these little white squares, and that's what it's going to cut away, and that's what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and go to next, and here's the image that it's going to cut, and I want to just make sure that it doesn't have any little things sticking out the side. So I'm going to click on despeckle, and I'm just going to move that all the way up. Click next. I'm going to click on the colored one because I want it to print and cut. I'm going to name it and hit enter and then save. And so now it's going to bring up my images in my scan, in my print and cut. So now I can go ahead and choose my car, and I want to choose my saddle shoes, and I'm going to hit insert. And I want to resize this. So I'm going to go to edit, and I want that to be 2.5 inches because I'm going to make a keychain, and so I don't want them that big. Okay, so now I have these two pieces here, and I'm ready to manipulate. Since I want a keychain, I want them on both front and back. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here, duplicate, and duplicate. So I have two cars and two shoes. Now because I want a front and back, they need to be reversed. So I'm going to go over here to edit, and down here it has a horizontal, and I'm going to hit that, and it's going to flip my shoes the exact opposite, and do the same for the car. And now when I print it out and cut it out, I'll be able to match those front to back, and it'll be the same. It won't be blank on one side. I'll have a car on both sides. So let's get this going. So then it comes to this once you hit make. And on here you can see you have an area, you have your print button down there at the bottom. And so when you print it, you get this. And I have printed this off on Accent 80-pound card, and it goes through my printer just fine. So once that has printed, we are going to go ahead and lay this on our mat. And you want to make it as even as you possibly can, because it is going to scan these lines right around the outside of our box here. It is going to, we're going to go ahead and feed that into our machine, and it's going to scan it and cut those out. So let's go over to the Cricut machine. Now I'm going to hit the Cricut continue green button. And now it's going to ask me to choose an accessory. And there's my maker, and I'll pick that up. Okay, now it's back to my page. You can do this on your computer, you can do it on your tablet, you can also do it on your phone if you like. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to choose this heavy cardstock. And then I'm going to go up here to my material set, and I'm going to go to more, and then done. And now it's ready to go. So now we're ready to hit the continue button. I've got it in there underneath my tabs. I'm going to hit the feed. And now it's blinking with my C, and that means it's ready to scan. And what it's going to do is be really loud. But what it's doing is it's going over and it's checking out those lines that are drawn around those images. And it's seeing exactly how far the lines are from the edge. The top edge, both sides, is going over to the middle of those areas. So it knows exactly how far that box is. Now it's just going to cut them out. There we go. And that's it. So we're just going to push the release button, and then we're going to get this off our mat. Now we need to get it off our mat, and I'm going to just roll my mat, and that's going to just help relieve the adhesive from behind my card. I'll flip it over, and I'm going to slowly peel up. It's very thick card. So it just needs a little help around that corner. And so now I'm going to go ahead and take them off of our board. And you can use your little spatula, but I can also just bend my card back a little bit and it pulls right on up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just delete those, and I'm going to take these and I'm going to make these just a regular cut. I'm going to go to edit and go to line type, and I'm going to drop down my cut, and it's marked cut, but I want to go ahead and just make sure I touch it, and then apply. And now it's going to make that just a silhouette. So once again, I'm going to click on, just touch the file. I'm going to touch the line type, mark it cut, and apply. And that's under your edit. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink that down. So now what I want is I just want these cut, and I want two more cut. So I'm just going to click make it, come up here, and I'm going to edit that and change that to 2. And I'm going to just go ahead and continue. Make sure I choose my heavy cardstock. The default depth, I'm going to go ahead and do more. And then I'm going to go feed this through. So now I have all my pieces cut and printed. So there's my shoes, there's my cars, and then the center pieces that I cut out to build bulk. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and I want to make sure that all my little edges don't have any fuzzies around them. And the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and glue my center pieces together. Because this is on plain white cardstock, it does not matter what side you glue to what side, because they're both the same. And each side of this is going to have part of the shoes. So now I'm just going to take these two, I'm going to line them up, make sure they are lined up perfectly on every mark so that I don't have one side hanging over more than the other. That's what's nice about the wet glue. You have just a little bit of wiggle room, but the art glitter glue also dries really fast. So let's go ahead and get our cars done. I'm going to take those two, make sure they are lined up, all the little edges, the tires, the top of the car, all the little nooks and crannies around the front of that car. There's so many little bits and pieces in there. And we want that to be laying flat. Okay, so we have a pair of shoes and we have our car. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our shoes. I'm going to put glue all over the back side of our colored card. Now you can put your glossy accents on before you glue this together, but it tends to warp because it is just cardstock. So if I put it on here first, make sure it's all lined up, then it gives a little more bulk and it won't do as much warping. And let's get the back side of the shoes done. Line that up with the back side. Make sure everything is meeting nice around those edges so you don't have anything showing that represents, that will maybe show you that this is card on one side, because that gives you a nice thick card. I just kind of on my flat surface. Let's do our cars. Now you can do this with any image that you like. If you have ephemera that is already cut out, you can do that. You can glue it down to some paper and do just do a fussy cut around that after you got it glued down if it's not quite thick enough. You can cut some pattern paper out for the back side if you don't have a mirrored image, or if you don't have a Brother Scan and Cut or anything, a Cricut or anything else that you can scan or upload images to, you can print them and then fussy cut them out. All right, let's get this back side on, front side, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just making sure all of these little pieces are lined up, because there's lots of little pieces up around these corners, the tires, the fenders, the bumpers. Everything was so fancy and detailed. So I'm just making sure those are all lined up, pinching it with my fingers, making sure the tires, everything is lined up. So the last thing I want to do is have to go in there and trim little bits away. All right, I want those to dry thoroughly. So now I have some glossy accents. Now you don't have to use glossy accents, you can use Mod Podge, whatever you prefer. I like the glossy accents because it gives it nice definition, as well as making it very glossy and firming this up even more. It's great when you think about, I have 4 layers of 80-pound card. Makes it nice and strong. So you don't have to necessarily put anything on there, but I put this on there to help protect it if it gets wet. Last thing you want is your keychain to be dissolving. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to bring it on down and go over my whole car. Now I have this on wax paper so that if the glossy accents goes over the edge, that is not a problem. It's not going to stick to anything and it'll be easy cleanup for me. I squeeze and drag, and I have just a continuous slight squeeze on there so that I don't get the air bubbles. And I'm going over back and forth, up and down, so that I know I don't miss a spot. And there we go. Let's go ahead and get our shoes done. Same principle, starting at the top, going over the tip, and then just dragging that gloss over my shoes. Going up over the next tip, and then dragging, filling in. sure the whole centers are filled in. Make sure there's no little air bubbles that I can see. And we're going to let this dry. Right. So this has been left overnight to dry. I've got a couple, got 2 little air bubbles on that side and 1 on the car. Okay, so look at those. Those turned out really well, didn't they? Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I haven't done the back side, so I'm going to flip them over. We're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, now we're going to let these dry. It has been a day since I did one side, and then I had flipped and done the other, and it's been a day for that. So these are nice and dry, and I know that for sure. Nice and hard, sealed in there pretty, very nice. So I want to hide the fact that this is cardstock. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to put something on the edge of this so that it blends nicely and it covers up that edge. So let's get started. Okay, so I tried a couple different things. I pulled out some of the cards that I had created and the hard ephemera pieces, and I took the camera and I tried on one side to do an embossing technique, and it just didn't turn out real well. And so on the other side I did some glue, some art glitter glue, and put that right along the edge of that, and I think that's going to be the way we go. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So I'm going to take my shoes, start with those, and I'm just going to use my fine tip art glitter glue. Now this is what this glue was made for. And I'm just going to right along that edge, and I'm just going to do a little bit at a time and make sure I don't have any glue where I don't want it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, I'm going to put some of that shimmery white glitter on there, and then that's going to dry. Now you can use, if it's gotten where you don't want it to, you can use the brush, but I think it's just fine where it's at. And while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and get another area started. I've got this little tiny vial of this white sparkly glitter, and I am just going to sprinkle that right over the top. I've got a paper underneath me, making sure it's got that little area covered. I'm going to come back in with a softer brush just to brush that glitter off. Make sure on both sides. And there we have that little area right there for our shoes done. You can use a little scoop and just go back over it, making sure, because this little area I can't really press into the glitter. It has a lot of nooks and crannies in there, and so I'm just going to make sure it has a nice bit going over the top of that. Set that aside and let that little area dry. And so now I'm going to do a bit of this car. I'm going to go ahead and get a damp cloth to wipe that. I keep paper towels, a spray bottle of water, and my craft room. I'm just going to wipe over the top of that so that any of that glue that may have gone over the edge is wiped off. And so now I'm going to go ahead, and I know I went all over the bottom, so I'm going to take this and go I've had all the glitter going all the way around, and I'm going to come in with a damp paper towel, and I'm just going to go over the top and just make sure that everything is rubbed on out to the sides. And I'm going to just kind of take my paper towel and just smoosh anything down into that opening on the car. Because when you have the cardstock together, it leaves you little bits of opening. And so that's what I'm trying to take care of here, is to get that just pressed on down. That glue is just a little bit damp. It's dry so fast. So polish it up. Okie doke. Let's get the remnants of glitter. Guys, so here we have a bunch of stuff. This is my bottle caps and my little adhesive stickers to go over them. Now, if you're going to make a charm, or if you're going to use those bottle caps, you're going to need to have something to punch a hole or use a nail. Okay, so when you make your bottle caps and you have your image that you want to put in it, if you're going to use an image, now you can use glossy accents, you can use resin. I used a program called, it's a print to size, and I went ahead and I took those images that I had and I shrunk them down, and I shrunk them down to small enough where I could take my 1-inch circle punch and punch them out, and then they fit in there perfectly. I used these scalloped, and then I used my tool here to punch the hole. Works really nice. It does not leave a rough edge. And so you have your bottle caps. I'm going to go ahead and pull some of my ribbons off here. Okay, so I have some tools here. I have our beautiful embellished ephemera pieces. It turned out wonderful. And so I'm going to, now what you need to do if you have a ribbon that frays is you're going to need to glue or use some of the stop fray stuff, or you can very lightly use the heat of a lighter to melt those edges. Be very careful, because this can catch on fire, so you need to be very cautious. I'm just going to take a little piece of this chain and a jump ring. Get my other pliers. If you have some lace like this, you really don't want to try to burn the edges. You can, but I use my glue. I just take my art glitter glue, and I just run a little bead right over that edge, and that doesn't take too long to dry. So now I have all my ribbons cut. You know, some of them I just left them intact, where I just have to fold them in half on my little tweezers. So I want to get these want to kind of get these attached to each other, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and kind of move the colors around a little bit so it's a little more random. And you can use whatever you want. You don't have to use a ribbon clamp. You can put these together and bring something up in between them, whether you use a piece of thread, you know, it really doesn't matter. And I am going to put a bit of glue in between each of those, but you want to make sure that they're all together if you're going to do anything. So for the tassel, I can get those all in there like that. My wire. I think that's going to be really pretty on that. Okay, so I got my pliers and I have my jump ring. And with the jump ring, all you're going to do is hold it. You're going to have two pliers. They actually have jump ring openers and stuff you can use, but I'm just going to use these pliers. I'm going to go side by side and just twist, and that's going to open that jump ring. So I can just now take it and weed it on through. So when you're closing the jump rings back up, you're once again just going to grab those ends, and you just want to put them right back together. That's it. So there we have our glittered shoe that we can now attach our keychain to. I'm just going to open this jump ring, put it on some chain, grab your sides, twist open, add your chain, and close it'll go. And then I just come in and squeeze them flat. Cut a little bit of the silver chain down. Attach your chain to the jump ring. And then just grab those pieces and pull them back together. And then I take my flat pliers and just give it a nice squeeze so that I know there's no room in there for anything to slip out. And there I have my chain. So I'm going to cut about 2.5 inches of chain. So I'm going to come in here and cut a little link off. And there are little areas in here that you can grab, and you can actually open the link. There we go. And then that should slide right on out. Grab the link, and you should be able to twist that little baby open.
That was crazy.
Okay. Jump ring back. Open that up. I'm going to put that right on the bottom of my chain. And then I'm going to put it around my keychain item. There's the keychain. We have a ribbon tassel. And the tassel I'm going to do with the roller skate. I think I'll go ahead and do the roller skate, and I'll put another little something on the back side. And that way, take this little jump ring, and I'm going to put the jump ring up next to the ribbon tassel. It's going to go right on in that tassel. It has a little hole for a link, and that's going to close right back up. So now I have roller skate, and I'm going to put something, but I think I'll put, figure out what I'm going to put on the back of that in a minute. But I'm going to now put a hole in the top here and a hole in my car. so that I can link a chain in between those. So in order to get the hole in the top of my bottle cap, I'm going to go ahead and turn it around and go right at the top. It'd probably been easier just to do this before I put it on there, but you know, guys, you know me, that just squeezes right on in, comes right on out, and there's the little tiny piece right into the trash. And so I'm going to go ahead and get another jump ring. Get my pliers to get it open. Right on through the bottle cap. And get me a little piece of chain. I don't want it to be too awful long on this one. Open the chain link like a jump ring. There we go. So we have a jump ring on the bottle cap at the bottom. Get that on in there. And then my car is going to go on the top of that. But I want to kind of make it, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to kind of, I think I'll put the hole right here behind the tire. Pop that on through. I just think that turned out adorable. I really like the way they turned out. Look at that. I just think that's fun. Very pretty. Just a dangly. I think it's really cute. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope that you've had a good time. And I know this process video is long. Process videos sometimes can be if you're going to go into detail. But I went from start to finish on how to make your ephemera nice and hard, how to do your print and cut, how to layer, how to glossy, how to punch, and then how to create your ribbons and your keychain. So guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I do hope you consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. It is free and it doesn't hurt, I promise. If you do want to know when I'm uploading a new video, you can hit that bell notification and YouTube should notify you when I'm uploading a new video. So guys, subscribe, bell, thumbs up, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.